Rhea.
Soul making is about the deepest possible connection with soul, with other human and non-human beings, and this means the humans and non-humans of the future, and this with the world. We cannot do this if we are perpetually searching. At some stage in our life, we must find ourselves settling. Making souls is a necessary antidote to the contemporary cultural obsession with onwards and upwards progress, or it means kontemporaryong kultural na pagkahumaling sa pasulong at pataas na pagunlad. The economic and political arena, this translates into an historical refusal or ang pag-ekonomiya at pampolitika na isinasalin ito sa isang makasaysayang pagtangi o kawalan ng kakayahan, na isaalang-alang ang anumang pangmodelo maliban sa kasalukuyang modelo ng walang hadlang na kapitalismo at paglago ng ekonomiya anuman ang kahinatnan. Ecologically is in a way that concerns the relation of living organisms to one another and to their physical surroundings. Ecologically, this has devastating effects, yet hereto it seems impossible of mainstream culture to envisage anything but an upward path of progress, exemplified by the belief that somehow human technological ingenuity will get us out of the climate rabbit hole that human technological ingenuity has got us into. In this activity of working through desecration that I consider to be at the core of the creative and therapeutic process, I call this act poesis, and consider it to be the center of human existence. In this activity of working through disintegration, by the way, the meaning of disintegration is the process of losing cohesion of strength that I consider to be at the core of creative and therapeutic process. I call this act poesis, and consider it to be at the center of human existence, o in Tagalog, ang aktibidad na ito ng pagtatrabaho sa pamamagitan ng disintegrasyon na itinuturing kong ubod ng malikhain at therapeutic na proseso. Tinatawag kong poesis ang gawain ito at isaalang-alang ito sa nasa sentro ng pag-iral ng tao. Here is another soul-making practice you may want to try. Let's call it dreaming poesis. Poesis from ancient Greek is the activity in which a person brings something into being that did not exist before. Poesis is etymologically derived from ancient Greek term which means to make.
Good morning, classmates. Good morning, sir. We are going here to tackle about the lesson 2, which is the 7 Da Vinci principles. Innovate like Da Vinci. How do we innovate like Da Vinci? Paano tayo magiging katulad ni Da Vinci? So, after we going to discuss about that, Frida will explain, but we are going to discuss the questions about how we maintain it over time, or how do we mapapanatili yung paglilipas ng panahon sa businesses, or being creative is really hard because madaming inventors, businesses ang nahihirapan to find the suit businesses for them na magtatagal sa kanila. So, let's start. One of the biggest questions about innovation is how do we maintain over time? After all, there are lots of one-hit wonders but only few people can continue. Sabi dito, only people lang daw ang nakakatuloy sa pag-innovate na ideas on an ongoing basis. Maraming companies seems innovative for a short of time, but quickly lost steam. Yun na nga. While Google is considered
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rick Angela Vidal, and now I will talk about the 7 principles of Leonardo da Vinci. First of all, the first question that I would like to ask you, have you ever encountered a successful person who does not claim to be a voracious learner? Okay, so here we have the word curiosita. It is insatiable, curious approach to life and unrelenting quest for continuous learning. So it means that even we try hard in ourselves, we actually did our part and we still continue learning in our future, in our goal. Even the word unrelenting here, it means that you don't have to stop on studying, and even though you tried your best, some of us have failed, right? But we have the word continuous learning. Even we failed, even we put down ourselves, but if we have the willingness to continue learning for our goal, so that we'll be a successful person. So, from the word unrelenting, it means mercilessful, or parang wala ka ng awa sa sarili mo, even though nagpupuyat ka, right? So, some of us that we cannot do everything, even though we could do everything, pero parang hindi pa sapat, okay? But we quest for continuous learning. That is very important, and we still continue learning for our goal. Okay, next is demonstration. It is a commitment to test knowledge through experience, persistence, and willingness to learn from past mistakes. And this is pretty much the scientific method applied to everybody in life. So it means we have the commitment to test our knowledge. So if, for example, if we did our best to study hard, it is the future that we have to test our knowledge, and it's very important for us because as a student we need to test our knowledge so that we can prove to ourselves and to everyone that we can do it into our goal. And of course we have the persistent and willingness to learn. So some people that hindi pa nila kayang tanggapin kung ano yung pagkakamali nila, but some of us also, especially as an educator person, we have to be willing to correct ourselves, because I believe if you want to be a teacher, you have to be a teachable. Next is sensation. It is continual refinement of the senses as the means to enliven experience. So it means that there is still hope, okay, that for me in my opinion with this word is you have to be honest in your experience. You have to be honest on yourself that you can do it, because I want to give an example. For example, in an interview in a company, so we cannot say that you are a good, for example, in a business, you cannot say that you are good in selling, but you cannot show it to them. So it is important that we experience everything in our training here in our school, because it will be the result after all. Okay. So to be innovative, we must be aware of what is going on around us. So we have to be aware and everything, even into ourselves, we need to be aware in ourselves kung nagkakamali ba tayo, kung tama ba ito, kung mali ba ito, and we need to think twice. We need to have the right decision before we do our part. Next is sfumato. It is the literal translation for this term is going up in smoke. It is about our willingness to embrace ambiguity, paradox, and uncertainty, as our old saying. So we have here the word willingness to embrace. Okay, so some people that kung nagkamali man sila, hindi sila willing na i-accept yung pagkakamali nila. Hindi pa sila ready na natanggapin yung pagkakamali nila. So as an educator, people here in our school, we have to be we have to be willing na makorek, because how can we teach others if we cannot teach ourselves, right? So we have to be teachable first before we can teach others, before we can educate others. It is very important here in our training. And then here, so willingness to embrace ambiguity, paradox, and uncertainty. So ayan, even that we trampled ourselves, we drift out, we still have to be corrected, right? Because we need to have a good result. We need to be a good fruit in the future. So again, we cannot be an educator if we cannot educate ourselves first. Okay, so all right. Then here we have arte scienza, developing a balance between logic and imagination. So it is very important that if we imagine something, we need to take an action of it. Okay, so we cannot just imagine of anything that we want, but we cannot do it in literally. So it is really important that if we imagine something, for example, it is an idea to create something new, to create something bigger, or to create something a good result. So we have to make it an action, right? So after all, imagination without logic is daydreaming. So it is not, as an educator or as an education major, we have to be creative in our imagination. So sometimes we need to get some ideas from the internet or some ideas from our teachers so that we can have a good and creative and imaginative mindset. And yun. So, and logic without imagination is boring. So sometimes we can have our idea, we can have our own opinion, but that's why we need logic and imagination. It's very important that we have to stick together on that thing, on that word, because it is really important that logic and imagination have to combine to each other. So once again, after all, imagination without logic is daydreaming, and logic without imagination is boring. Other terms for this are balancing between art and science, as well as whole brain thinking. So we need to be balanced. We need to balance our the mindset of a person, especially this art and science. So like for example, like for example, in art, right? When we think about art, it is really important that we have to be creative of it. Okay, and also at the same thing in the science as well. We have also corporalita. This is about maintaining a healthy body as well as a healthy mind. So there is no such people. I mean, it's rare actually na may mga tao talaga na may mga tao talaga na healthy, and they have also healthy mind. Okay? So but it's rare, okay? Hindi lahat ng tao na healthy yung katawan, healthy din yung mind. Okay? Like for example, me, I am not healthy. I have a lot of this may mga sakit din ako. So I think I don't have a good mindset sometimes, especially when I am sick, right? So some of you also are for example, as a woman, diba? If we have a period every month, we cannot have we cannot focus on what we are doing because of our body pain. So that is very rare, okay? One of the core concept of the Vinci approach is keeping our bodies fit function of keeping our minds fit. So it means that everybody knows how to maintain their body, how to maintain your good lifestyle every day, right? You have to sleep early, or you have to sleep on a time. You have to eat on time, and also exercise every if you have a spare time, you can have an exercise, and that is a physical exercise. But in the mind, we also need our motivation. Sometimes we have to relax our mind. Okay, so it is important that we also need our sleep, and we need also to relax our mind. So it is not for me, you don't have to push yourself, your mind, to think about something just for developing, right? It is really important, especially us, because I believe there is no one person here in the classroom that we are healthy and we have a healthy mind, diba? So some of us are breaking down because we have our we have down to ourselves. So it is really important that we keep our mind healthy, and of course our body. Okay, so that we can fit minds leads to more innovative and creative solution is really important. Okay, so we have conexión. This is the simple recognition of the interconnectedness of all things and phenomena. Okay, so from the word interconnectedness, it means that separating, right? So instead of put yourself into correctedness, instead of stay on this path, some people like to go away from the pressure. I mean, yeah, from the pressure, because they don't want to pressure their mind. Why? Because they are not ready. They are not ready to embrace their mistakes, right? So I tell you, it is really important that we stay connected with our professor, with our learning, and every day, especially during class hour. Okay, so we have also the word here is as we talk about. Okay, it isn't always just an issue of coming up with something totally new. Sometimes it is about seeing the links between how to use all things in new ways. So, for example, the things that is very old. So if you have the mindset of, or you have the idea how to make it new, especially the artisan. If you remember artisan, the old, they make it new so that they can have a business for it, right? And also in our house, in our for example, in our mother, in mother, grandmother, everyone in the house, sometimes for example, sa yung mga lata, di ba? They make it taniman kasi pwede pa naman. That is what we call recycling the old. So it will be new as one. Okay? So I think that's all for today's lesson, for today's topic, and I hope that everyone got a lot of learnings today. Thank you.